Welcome to today's video about milk prices in South Africa and how the milk industry is turning sour as far as the South African consumer is concerned. There's an article over here published online by Independent Online, which is one linked to the major newspapers in South Africa, and it's an article that's completely devoid of a byline. There's no writer's name underneath it, which can only lead me to believe that this is a piece of propagandist crap that has been put together by the milk and dairy industry themselves and panded off as journalism. But before I get too far ahead of myself, just listen to what the article says. Coming out of Johannesburg, it says, as consumers continue to grapple with high food prices triggered by the recent drought and the ailing economy in South Africa, milk will soon be added to their list of costly staple foods. I'll get back to that in a moment. It continues, dairy farmers are currently facing production shortages and they will likely run into supply issues in the coming months. Consequently, some dairy processors are already paying commercial farmers 60 cents more per litre on average for milk to ensure a constant supply through the winter. Poor pasture conditions due to the drought and sharply higher grain prices have squeezed the margins at farm level and have increased, the increase should help improve the situation. And that the price is further expected to increase in May and will hike operating costs in the entire milk value chain, leaving retailers with no choice but to increase the price that consumers pay for milk and dairy products. The article continues, but let's just leave it there just for the moment. First and foremost, milk and dairy is not a staple food product. It's not a staple food. In South Africa or anywhere else, milk and dairy is not a staple. In South Africa, the biggest staple in South Africa is maize. Second to maize is wheat, and third is rice. Dairy does not feature anywhere on the list as a staple. Now, very importantly, South Africa's biggest staple being maize. And maize prices have increased substantially over the past year, over the past couple of years. Now, in South Africa, the biggest consumer of maize is the cattle industry, primarily your milk and dairy industry. Your dairy industry is primary, secondary, your beef industry. And so the fact that the milk prices are now increasing, if you look at supply and demand, it will only do South Africa good if this increase leads to a reduced demand for dairy products. Because what will happen is, when there's reduced demand for dairy products, the dairy industry will lower their output. And when they lower their output, they'll be buying less maize, which will lead to an oversupply of maize in the South African market, and the maize price will then have to decrease, which means that South Africa's primary staple will become cheaper. So if you want your primary staple to become cheaper, cut the milk, dairy and meat, take away their demand, and dairy output drops, meat output drops, oversupply of maize, maize prices drop, and everybody is happy because South Africa's primary staple has become cheaper. That's my view on how the solution will be in the long term. Post any comments, questions, criticisms here in the comment section down below. Don't forget thumbs up if you like this type of content, share it out amongst your friends, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. But really, isn't this absolutely ludicrous to call milk and dairy a staple food source? It's absolutely ludicrous. Milk and dairy are causatively linked to cancers, causatively linked to type 2 diabetes, causatively linked to type 1 diabetes, and the obesity epidemic that we have across the planet. So, no ways can such a product be classified as a staple. That's my take on the matter. Remember, stay carved up for the win. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
CoachEdu.net